For our first grammar workshop, I'm going to give a few tips for building your vocabulary. So these are the 3 tips. We're going to talk a little bit more about them here. 1, a dictionary is your friend. 2, memorize, know those Greek and Latin roots, suffixes, and prefixes. And 3, play word games. They're fun. And you learn. All right, that dictionary. So I know it seems pretty old school, but it's pretty helpful still. So first, when you are listening to people talk or you're reading something, write down words that you don't really know. Like just put them in a notebook or take a note on your phone, send yourself a text, and then look them up. If it's a moment where you can ask a question, you can say, hey, can you tell us what that word means? I'm not really sure, maybe in this context, or I don't know what that word means. And I'm sure that the speaker will be happy to kind of explain and may even provide some alternative or synonyms that will help you further understand what something means. But look it up. You can use a print dictionary. They still sell them. They still update them. I serve a set in my office, but also those online dictionaries can be really useful too. My favorite is honestly the Merriam-Webster, which is m-w.com. Some things that I really like about it are that you can look the word up for its definition, but then you can also really quickly toggle over to a thesaurus so that you can find synonyms and even antonyms for what the word means. They typically give you some examples of how the word might be used in a sentence. And for some words, not for every single word, they give you a little bit of its history of how it has been used, which can be kind of fun to see if you like words, I guess. The last thing to remember, though, is that there are what we call denotative and connotative meanings. So a denotative, the way that I like to think about that is it's the dictionary definition. So it is what the word means according to that official source, which is really also based on what society has said that that word means. But some words also have a connotative meaning. So it may mean something, but to users, we have a different understanding of how and when it's appropriate to use that word, or it may have kind of deeper cultural context, that connotations that may or may not fully fit what the dictionary says a particular word means. Greek and Latin roots, prefixes, and suffixes. So I'm sure that you were introduced to those in or throughout your schooling, but it's a great time to review them because understanding what some of those roots, prefixes, and suffixes mean will help you when you see words that are using them. You can be like, oh, hey, I remember that mono means one. And so when I see this word that's using mono, I have an idea that it's going to mean something about one. You may not know the rest of it yet. You may know the rest of it. And then you can really put those roots and prefixes and suffixes together to say, hey, I have an idea that this is what this word might mean. Again, if you're still unsure, check the dictionary and you might find out a little bit more about something and what it means. If you want to practice those, there's some great kind of flashcards that you can use through Quizlet and Reading Rocket. And I know it's a little young, but it also has a really great chart that like you could print out and kind of practice with those as well. The other thing is playing word games. They can be fun, but also, you know, they get you really practicing and sometimes thinking of those words and thinking sometimes of those connotations of words and what they mean to users and not just what the dictionary says. Not exactly word games, but you can also just follow Word of the Day. New York Times has one. Merriam-Webster, of course, has one that you can follow, and I believe they also have a few online word games that you can play. But if you like to play board games too, there are tons of things. Some of my family's favorites are Apples to Apples, which really gets into like synonyms and just understanding comparisons, analogies in sometimes creative ways. Rewordable, where you draw sets of letters and you have to put them together to form words. It's a little different than Scrabble, which of course is a classic that you might enjoy as well. That's more kind of spelling than vocab. And another one that really gets into synonyms and understanding what words means is Code Names, and it can be kind of a fun game as well. Crosswords, if you like to do those in the newspaper or online, and a really fun app is Word Up, which has to do more with vocabulary and not just with putting words or letters together to form different words. These are just a few tips to help you think about building your vocabulary. So, to earn credit for this workshop, simple enough. What's one way that you think you might practice to work on building your vocabulary? This is often a goal that gets mentioned by students, and so here's just a few tips and some strategies that you might try. Which one do you think you might actually put into your daily life? Send me an email and let me know.